In the book of John, chapter 6, Jesus describes himself as the bread of life. Why would Jesus describe himself as the bread of life? We're going to find out by making bread. Let's start with water. Water is very, very important to life. Our bodies are made up of 60% water, and it only takes 3 days of us being without water for us not to be able to survive. So water is life. Next is the yeast. Yeast is what we put in bread to make the bread grow. Water giving life, and yeast making it grow or be more abundant. So into the water and yeast mixture, we add the flour. I'm doubling this recipe today, so if you guys are looking at the recipe in the link, it will be half of this. Flour is made of wheat, and wheat in a lot of cultures symbolizes an abundance of life or wealth. Into our flour mixture, we are going to add our sugar. Sugar is sweet. It is used in all the parties that we've ever had in our lives, and it is the spice that is most tied to memory. Next, we pour in our oil. Oil is a representation in the Bible of the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, we know, is the giver of life and our guide in life. Next goes in the salt. Salt brings flavor to life. In Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, he says that we are the salt of the earth, meaning that we are very, very valuable. Soldiers used to be paid in salt for its value, and that is why we use salt in almost everything we make. That part. We get to dig in here and mix it all together. This takes a lot of time, patience, and a lot of work. Once the dough is kneaded, it all comes together and holds together really tight, and that's because the gluten in the bread is strong enough to hold those proteins together. And how we tell that is by the window pane test. So when you stretch your bread out like this, if you can hold it up and see through it, I don't know if y'all can see that.
Yeah. See that?
And once you can see through your dough, it's ready to prove. You oil 2 bowls. Well, 1 bowl if you're doing 1 recipe, 2 if you're doing 2. And you just plop it in there and roll it around a little bit. And we're going to cover it. Same with this one. I'm going to sit these on the back of our stove in a warm place for 2 hours. Okay, now that our bread has doubled in size, or dough I should say, it's time to punch it down. You would think it'd be time to bake it. It is not. This is the time that we punch it down. Are you ready for this? Watch this. Oh no. I'm going to punch that down. And this is the time we're going to shape it into the loaves that we want to have to bake. So I'm going to do is I'm doing 2 smaller loaves out of this one. and 4 out of that one. So we're going to take this and we're going to cut it in half. And I'm doing round loaves today. I'll be shaping them into round loaves. The wonderful thing about bread is that we can shape it into any shape that we want. We are going to take this on and we're going to make 4 out of it. So let's go. Okay, let's try this. Go in half. And I'm going to take this one. Go in half again. Okay, now that we have all of our loaves shaped in the way that we want them to appear when they are baked, we are going to cover them back up. And then they're going to go back on the back of our stove for 1 hour. Bread takes a lot of time to make, and the thing you gotta know that there's a lot of ingredients, and they have to rise and be reshaped and rise again. Just like people, we grow and we change, and we become who we're meant to be. That's okay. Now that our loaves have risen a second time, we are going to preheat the oven at 350 and pop them in for 45 minutes to an hour. You check them after 30 minutes, especially the smaller loaves. Okay, so what did Jesus mean when he said he was the bread of life? Let's break it down. Water represents life. Yeast represents growth. Flour represents an abundance. Oil represents the power of the Holy Spirit. Sugar represents the sweet happiness and good times in life. Salt represents preservation and value. And kneading represents change. We can then say Jesus is the bread of life because he is life. He is what we need to grow. He is the gift given to us by the Holy Spirit. Through Jesus, we can enjoy happiness, good times, and create memories. We can grow and change and start each day fresh. We can make mistakes and try again. Jesus made a way for all of it because our lives are of such value, they're worth preserving. And you know what? Jesus did just that by dying on the cross for us so that we may have life and life more abundantly.